right. Hello, hello, hello. Mm. Got coffee. Had a had some thoughts on my mind this morning. I'm always thinking about something this morning, but I kind of let my day, the previous day or the night, kind of dictate what's on my mind. Actually, I wanted to try something new this morning. I'm not even sure if I don't have it. I was going to try a headset. But I've been kind of thinking about a lot of the infighting. And I talk about infighting, I'm talking about the left and the right. Hatfields and the McCoys. The Capulates and the Montagues. And I appreciate y'all sharing. This morning, I kind of just want to have a little bit of a discussion because I think we're all having these interactions with our brothers on the left and our brothers on the right. And none of this ends well the way it goes. And so we have to figure out, how do we get back to a point where we can have some logical discussions and talk like human beings again? Talk like you got some damn sense. Anyway, hey Ginger, good morning. How you doing? Deborah, Susan, Brother John, appreciate y'all coming in. And it's always on my mind, the whole left-right paradigm thing, because that whole division scheme, it's a scheme, right? Like it's not like they decided they wanted to be on this side or that side, and here's what we believe in, and here are our points, and that didn't go that way. That's not the left and the right. The left and the right, all right, well, before we talk about the left and the right, let's think about the Capulates and the Montagues. Let's think about the Hatfields and the McCoys. The first question is, how did that go? How did blind hate turn out for them? I don't think it went so well. I think now, though, you have Hatfields and McCoys that don't live too far from each other, and they're friends and making babies again, and that's good. But how many had to die first, right? But I'll give the Hatfields and the McCoys a lot of credit, and the Capulets and the Montagues, because they picked their own arguments, right? Whether it was over a girl, I think it was both times it was over a girl. Some people disagree. It was over a girl. It was over the North and the South and fighting. A brother was with the Union. They killed him. And so they go back and forth what it was about. But at least they chose their own arguments. They had their own minds. They used their own critical thought, and they made a decision based off of that. They didn't let leaders or groups or anyone else give them their fighting points. Their fighting points were, I assume, standing by their family, standing by the hog, standing by, the girl, the murderer, but it was their own. The issue I have with the left and the right is they didn't choose their own arguments, and they don't make their own solutions. Their arguments are handed down to them, and their solutions their talking points are given to them by their leaders. And at some point, I wonder how much data do you need? I'm not all that smart, but I'm smart enough to read. I can read. I can open a book. I can read a report. And if smart people, really smart people, are telling us that our leaders actually don't run our country, at what point does the left-right argument be completely ridiculous that they let go of it? Was it Princeton University? They put out that they did a study. It was Princeton and another university, and they put out that study that said that America, I gotta fly. The heck, it's always something coming after me. But they put out that study that said America actually isn't a democracy. It's an oligarchy. And two universities did that. Jimmy Carter actually just said something, yo. I saw it on the news the other day, or my news feed, and it was something to the effect of us not being a functioning democracy again, kind of following up on his earlier comments. But how I talk to the left, friends on the left, I talk to friends on the right. Sometimes I talk to them, they aren't friends, right? Like, and somebody asked me, how do you talk to them? How do you talk to them? Well, the first question is, can the Hatfields and the McCoys talk? Well, no, it's not. Well, no, they can't. They can't. The Hatfields and the McCoys, there was no talking. The Capulates and the Montagues, there was no talking. So the idea that the left and the right can talk, that makes no sense. Why? Because they're enemies. Like, we can pretend that this is about politics, and it's not. We can pretend this is about health care or some other stuff. It's not. It is for some of the moderates. But this whole left-right fight thing, it's mostly ego, but it's a war. Like, that's what they're doing. They're actually fighting a war. If you look at like, look at their eyes when they talk to each other. Look at their eyes when they think that you're on the right or you're on the left. You are their blood enemy, and they are out to get you. And it doesn't matter what you say, they're going to come after you. And so, how does the left and the right talk? They don't. They can't. Because the moment you identify with being on the right or the left, you've already said, I'm the enemy. This is my banner. You know, this is my flag. That means it's time to fight. It's not time to talk. Talking, that died a long time ago. And, you know, if you think that, like, my intent is to get you to leave the left or the right, it is. It is. Because we can't afford this war. Well, some of us can. Some people are prepared. Some people voted for Trump because they were prepared. But the next generation can't afford this war. This is a war of ignorance. It is pure ignorance. So how do the left and the right talk? They don't talk. You can't be on the left or the right if you want to have an intellectual discussion. You can only be, if you're a fighter and you just want to fight, like that's your investment into this thing, you just want to fight, then go ahead and pick a left or a right. I'm not talking to you. You know, you can go do what you want to do. But if your intent is to actually solve problems in this country, you can't pick a team, because it is that division that keep all the things that you're so angry about completely manifested and going. We always get, but I will say this though, if you're at a point where if you're on the left, moderate on the left, I think the extreme sides, they're not even in these discussions, right? There's not even a consideration. They're trying to put people on boats and send them places, or they want to start some sort of a conflict. If you're on the left and you actually want to find common ground with the right, you shouldn't be on the left. If you're on the right and you want to find common ground with people on the left, you're done with the fighting, you're done with the ignorance and the arguments, like everybody's in a big daycare with no teacher and got guns, then you've already figured out the problem. And that's where my hope comes. My hope comes from a lot of places, but if you actually want to find common ground with the other side, or your friends on the other side, or your sister, or your brother, your mom, whoever it may be, you've already made a statement that you actually shouldn't be carrying a banner. You've already made a statement that you realize the banner you're carrying is a flag of ignorance, and it's one-sided ignorance, and it's what's going to make things significantly more difficult down the road. I listen to people talk about what the problem is. They want to talk about what the problem is, right? And I do too. It's interesting sometimes when you sit and you look at what is the problem? Is it money? Is it the oligarchy? Is it Wall Street? Illuminati? Some aliens? But let me ask you this question. This is something I was thinking about this morning. Why does it matter? Does it actually matter what the problem is, who the problem is, right? Is it Israel? You know, does it matter? Is it Russia? If we have no say in our government, if we can't do anything about it, if we have no unity, we don't have any sort of mass in numbers to actually change whatever the problem is. Why does it matter what the problem is? It's a completely ridiculous discussion to even have. It doesn't matter. Now, I guess in some ways you probably could use that to try to bring people together if you can kind of isolate where the enemy might kind of be, sort of be. But in reality, if you can't do anything about it, why are we even talking about it? I got an example for you. Like, let's say an example of a husband cheating on a wife, right? Actually, I got into this with a discussion a long time ago. And she, she's thinking about, I got to find out what's going on. I'm going through his email and I'm checking this and I got to figure out, and I drive past his work and see if he's there. Is he working late? Da, 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 da. And I asked her the question. I said, well, if you find out, and I knew he was doing it. I knew it was obvious, but she didn't want to accept it. I said, well, if you actually uncover the evidence that he is cheating on you, are you prepared to do something about it? Like, are you going to leave him? And she said, well, I don't know. I said, well, don't you think that's an important question? Like, do you have the resources? Do you have the ability to act on the data that you're actually going to uncover? And she still loved him, and she obviously wasn't going to leave him. But she was just so adamant to prove what was already obvious, was already extremely obvious to her and everybody else. But she got so vested in the data collection. She got so vested in the fight to find out the truth, but she never stopped to ask the question, will she do anything with it? And so that's my thought about what I'm thinking about, this left-right fight. And all the data, we got to do this, and we got to do this, and we got to change this, and we got to da-da-da. We're going to put this in, and universal basic income, and we got to get more gun rights, and we got to restore the Constitution, and we got to end the Fed, and you can't do any of that. None of it. You can roll it all up in a ball and shove it in a dark place, because none of it's going to happen unless the other side, moderates from the other side, actually start to agree with you. And they don't. Because the minute they see your banner, they don't even want to talk to you. Why do we always throw out, man, this fly? I'm like being attacked here. It's like death from above. Oh, you know what? Something I get too serious. Did y'all know the Cold War is heating up? Brother, is heating up. They done got the coal-fired B-52s. They got them on high alert. They told Russia that we got our B-52s. Maybe I should find that news report. I don't know if some of y'all who don't know what a B-52 is, this is an old bomber. It's a bomber that's older than it's not even older than your car. Hold on. You know how when you go out in the backyard, you see someone's backyard, you're out in the woods, you see a car that's kind of broken down, it's got rust on it, trees are growing out the trunk, and the windows busted, and like animals, multiple generations of families of animals have lived in it. Our B-52s are older than that. These are big, massive bombers that there's not a chance in heck they actually would get 1,000 miles from the coast before Russia or somebody else shot them down. A kid with a slingshot to shoot down a B-52. But the Cold War is heating up. We're calling in 1,000 pilots, and we're going to call in 1,000 coal mine engineers to keep the furnaces and the B-52s going so these things can fly. Sometimes I look at the news and I'm just like, are you kidding me? Maybe people don't really know what a B-52 is. Maybe they don't know that this stuff is, it's a ridiculous concept that you actually are going to fly 3,000 miles in a very old, slow airplane made right after World War II and drop a nuclear bomb on somebody's country, and you're actually going to make it. In a day when we got space lasers, we're shooting down low orbit satellites. I look at the news and I'm just like, they're not even serious about it. Like the Cold War, like why do they even put that? I think what happens is people, they probably don't know what a lot of this stuff is, and they're not reading between the cracks. They just see the headline. You know, B-52s going on alert, Cold War heating up. And it just feeds into that anger and that hatred for Russia. And so, I'm not even sure what took me there. But if all of our greats have all told us that unity is the only way to actually get anything done, but all of our best prepared, best educated, best troops refuse to fight, refuse to actually fight anything significant, then like what is the point? Look at when they actually started taking out civil rights leaders. You know when they started taking them out? It was when they actually started bringing unity to the movement. When they've actually figured out that the others weren't actually others, that the problems were deeper and more systemic and systematic, and probably a small group of people who've always been around that handed down family to family to keep the Hatfields and Mccoys and the Capulates and the Montagues fighting, except for a lot more on ignorant terms because it's not on their terms. It's terms handed down them by their government. How many times have you seen like grassroots solutions go from the ground up? Almost never. Because they divide these arguments precisely how they need to be, so that your very existence as a left to somebody on the right is offensive. Because the things that you back are offensive. And the people you hurt in what's handed down in these talking points and these ideas are offensive to the very way of life to the right. So the minute you identify who you are, that's a fight. The very existence of the right is offensive to the left because the same people designed and put these talking points and these statements and these stances in ways that will screw you if you live in a city or on your left. So your very existence as a right with the gun rack on the back, you know, when they see it, it triggers that anger and it's a fight. We have to learn, Sister Jeannie just said it, we have to learn lessons from history. It's not like we live in small, small towns anymore. It's not like we can't talk to the next town and realize that we are being played. We can go on the internet and we can talk to the others and realize that we are being played. You know, if we don't come to some sense of logic and maturity and realize we get nowhere without unity. We aren't, all of this is useless. All of this is just, unless you like to fight, all of this is useless. You're useless to the next generation from top to bottom. Call yourself whatever you want. Libertarian, social justice warrior, white nationalist, independent, constitutionalist, whatever you want to call yourself. You are completely the enemy of the next generation. Because you are handing their future to the same 1% that every generation did before you. But the only difference was the generations before you, they didn't have the data we have today. They didn't have the means of talking to people around the world to find out that we're all being played against each other. So that's until the left and the right realize, the people, not the leadership, because the leadership, they already know what they're doing. They have book deals to sell. They already got their bunkers. They're going to be taken care of. They're good to go. It's the people who are actually still supporting this until they get a semblance again of humanity. And I know that sounds harsh. It does. It does. It sounds harsh. But somebody text me something this morning. I won't show it. I won't dare put it on Facebook because they'll take it down the minute you put it up there. There was a picture of a child with their head basically blown out. Like, you know how you say things, your brain's blown out? Like, this is literally, her head was blown out. And it was an amazing piece of photography. Because the photographer knew that if you show the back of somebody's head and it's blown out, this was a child from some sort of conflict. It doesn't have that human response, right? Like, it's the back of a head. There's some blood, some guts, brains. You know, you might even be able to turn a blind eye to it. The photographer was amazing because they made sure they got the face where you could just see the back of the skull was blown out and the face was right there. And the face, if you can imagine this, because I'm not going to show it, it was a little girl. It was a little girl. I would say she probably had to be about 8 years old or something, somewhere in that range. And it hits you. Like, it hits you as a parent. It hits you as a human being. And if you can, like, really take in and swallow that this is not something that the left nor right is against. This is something that the leadership, not the people, not the ones who, you know, they want some health care or gun rights, but the leadership are completely complicit with all of the murder that's happening all over the world. 1,000%. You got to get on the right side of this thing. And the right side of this thing has no sides. The right side of this thing, people, is murder is wrong. Murder for resources is wrong. And the left, right, completely agree with it. They completely are complicit with it. Their leadership, mind you, that's what I'm talking about. Their leadership keep the people in these groups so well divided that they can't talk. So that whoever is orchestrating both puppets, the left and the right puppets, and then we talk about the presidents are puppets, but the left and the right are puppets too. And if you like being played, I guess that's okay. But at some point in time, there's a human element. You know, there's a human element that you got to think about. There's a cost for being a Capulet or Montague. There's a cost. There's always a human cost. And we like to turn blind eyes to it. You know, we like to not pay attention to it. We like to pretend like we don't see it. They like to keep you focused and come up with more issues to keep you focused on the not enemy. Because if you're focused on the not enemy, then it means that whoever's running all of this, whoever put all the strings on the leaders and the left and the right, they can keep making money. They can keep making the wars. They can keep bombing people. They can keep walking people into slavery. They can keep screwing us in the United States. They can keep these scarcity models. They can keep cranking out kids that can run over other people with Mustangs. They can keep cranking out kids who don't know any better, who want to spar with the police. They can keep doing it. I think my real question is what is your intent? What do you actually want? Do you want to be right? Or do you want to do some good? Do you actually want to help somebody? Do you actually want to prioritize your kids over yourself? Like, are your kids even on your priority list? Is the world they live in even on your priority list? If it is, and you actually pay attention to what's going on, then you completely understand that both the left and the right are completely complicit with taking it all from your kids. You got to get your kids in your priority list. You got to get the next generation somewhere on the radar, somewhere, and lay down your ego. I'm trying to choose my words wisely. I'm not trying to push people away. I'm trying to choose them wisely, and because it is about falling away, because that's what we need. We need a mass falling away from the left and the right. Because unless we do that, it should be obvious nothing's going to change. You don't have a voice. You don't run your government. And so any ideas you come up with are useless. So all of this getting together and, we're going to figure this out. We're going to get this person, put this person in office. And we're going to protest. We're going to sponsor this person and blah, 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 blah. And we're going to lobby. You realize none of that's going to happen. None of it is going to come to anything significant. These are all just carrots. And they hold these carrots just out of the reach. The left leadership holds that carrot just out of the left's reach, just to keep the donkey walking. And the right, same thing. They hold that carrot just out of your reach, just to keep the donkey walking. And at some point in time, maybe you should say, we're not donkeys. We're not, you're not going to lead us. It's obvious. Damn it, I ain't going to get the carrot. We're walking a long time. You're trying to get that carrot. I'm not going to get the carrot. All right. Hey, Brother Stephen, Kimberly, Jeannie, some of y'all came on in. I'm just talking about the Brother Mark. I'm just talking about the whole left-right fight. I'm talking about. I think I posted a picture of that. But trying to get the case. So what is my intent? Because I'm not on either side. I'm not on the left or right. I can't join. My mama taught me when I was a baby. She said, "Baby, you can't be no blood and no Crip." I got too much love for people, man. I can't. I had somebody a while ago. I think I said something about Charles Manson. I was talking about Charles Manson and, the Helter Skelter and the people who were murdered, that little mass murder thing where she was kind of showing me that he directly didn't, I don't think, murdered anyone directly, something like that. But he obviously was a major person in the group where some bad things happened. But that he had some really forward-thinking ideas, and he actually did some crazy stuff, y'all. If you ever listen to some of the stuff Charles Manson said, it'll blow your mind. But the point was, my stance is, okay, so they had a lot of great things to say about freedom and human rights and blah, 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 blah. I get that. I got that. But if they actually got to a point where people in the group were murdering people, I can't join that team. I can't be on that side. And if you really admit the truth, which is both sides murder, both sides start wars, and the only way you can be in that group, if you have a human heart beating in your chest, is you have to turn a blind eye and you have to pretend that you don't see what's over there. All you see, I got to put my coffee down, do my worst thing. All you see is what's in front of you. All you see is that carrot. All you see is like you don't see that over there, there's a cart full of berries, there's a cart full of apples. No, I don't see that. And I'm not going to talk to the other side. I'm just going to I don't see that people are being murdered that are supporting holding this up. I don't see the wars. I don't see the spraying of chemicals. I don't see, I don't. And Sister Jeannie, and it's skillfully crafted. They know what they're doing. They run studies to determine what's really going to piss off the right, like what's really going to make them angry. And they actually whittle that into the strategy for the left. Why? Because it keeps you fighting. It keeps you, and you can't figure out, but they're great with their wording. They'll make it sound like it's a really nice thing. And the same thing on the right. How do we really screw them? How do we stick? What is it? The coal mines? Are they already poor? They're barely paying their mortgages now? Oh, we're going to stick it to them. And you stick it to them. And you can't figure out why these people hate your very existence when you show them that banner that you're on the left. I had a guy come in not too long ago, and he was on the ignorant left, like he was deep. This was the guy he came in. I told some of y'all. He was just like, we need to put the right on boats and send them away. And I'm just like, man, like, where does that hate come from? Where does that hate come? Like, that's a deep-seated hate. Like, racism never even touched the amount of hate that the right and the left have encoded in them. And it's a well-meaning hate, which is the problem. It's a well-meaning hate of, we're going to take care of our group, and I'm going to turn a blind eye to what empowers the things that we get in our group. We're going to turn a blind eye to all the kids that it hurts. We're going to turn a blind eye to all of that. It's following that carrot. And Brother Stephen, you said it. It's, it's theater and distractions. They use these. You ever wonder why there's always something going on in America? Like, have you ever, like, there's never a time when there's nothing happening. Growing up as kids, we had long times of nothing happening. We would sit there and you had to do a current events, for your teacher, your indoctrinator. But it wasn't as bad back then. We had civics back then, but your indoctrinator. And you had to do current events. You had to go home. You had to go through the newspaper, try to find something to talk about. There was nothing to talk about. It was boring. The papers were poor. They didn't sell any papers. Nobody watched the news came on for 2 or 3 hours after school sometime, and that's usually just before dinner, and nobody really watched. There was nothing to watch. Nothing was happening. And now, every 2 or 3 days, we got end of the world drama. Every day. You ever wonder, like, why that is? And of course, we can blame the media. We can blame this, that, and the other, and Clinton and the break up the communication bill, and all of that played its role, but we play our role too. We play our role. We turn it on and we watch it. We feed into it. Vegas, right? I think there was another mass shooting since then. I didn't look at that. But, whether it's true, fake, false, partially fake, true, I don't know. But there's always something. And so what's important is Americans are dying. And when it happens all over the world, I guarantee you, in pretty much all of our wars all over the world, what, there are like 8 we admit to now, and there's supposed to be another almost dozen that are quiet, secret wars nobody talks about. We've killed that many people since Vegas, many times over since Vegas. But nobody cares. Nobody on television cares. Because they don't want you to care, because they know you watch television. Nobody in the Coliseum talks about it, because and language is everything. I'm being attacked, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm trying to focus. I can't focus. Being attacked. Damn fly. Hey! Cut it out. You ever yell at bugs like they're your dog or something? They're your cat. You ever yell at them? Anyway. I think that's the only purpose I'm even on Facebook, to be honest with you. The only reason I'm here is I don't let my friends tell things that aren't true. Because if the left can convince you that they mean well, I'm not talking about the people. And I'm not even talking about mid-level leadership. I'm talking about the top. If they can convince you that they actually mean well, then they can get people to follow them and they can grow their numbers. And I'm not going to let you do that. And if that makes me a bad guy, you don't want to be my friend no more, you want to talk about me, and, say I voted for Trump or whatever, then I'm okay with that. But I'm not going to let you pretend that you're righteous, that you're holier than thou. Same with the right. I'm not gonna let you do it neither. That your leadership means well. They don't. And it's not anti any of your leadership. It's just that understanding that Jimmy Carter has no reason to lie. JFK had no reason to lie. Eisenhower had no reason to lie. Martin Luther King had no reason to lie. They told you what was going on. And at some point in time, there's got to be one generation that actually believes them, that actually follows through, that doesn't just sit there and have a moment on their birthdays and have a moment, and like the post when you see their quote that sounds real good. Do you believe it? Do you actually believe it? When these brothers are talking unity, when these brothers are talking across the board, and not even just unity, like I even talk about Martin Luther King, like he took it to the level of unity with the whole world. He saw this happening to everybody. And they killed him for it. And now you're cheering for the people that killed him. Ever think about that? And you're right, Renee, is we're too self-involved. We make everything about ourselves. Everything is about ego. Everything is about me, 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 me. What can I get? What can I get this generation? Screw my kids. Forget them. What do I care about what they get? It's about what I can get this generation. Outside of the fact that we know that our system is collapsing and we're like running them into so much debt, they're going to have to hook chains up to them and have them drag the robots around. But it's not about them. It's about me. And it's about, I'm angry. I got to get back at the other side. So how does the left and the right talk? You don't talk. You don't talk. You can't talk. Because you've already said you're the enemy. So if your goal at the end of the day is to do some good anywhere, in any way, for anybody other than yourself, probably for yourself too, you can't be on the left and you can't be on the right. You have to be on the humanist side. You have to be on the side of all the brothers that they killed before us who actually started talking about unity. That's the only thing that anybody fears. That's from high above, is they don't want y'all getting together. Because 99.99% of the population, they wield an awful lot of power. And if they actually get together and say, we're tired of y'all jailing us, we're tired of you killing us, we're tired of you shooting us. We know you were the ones who stole land from our ancestors. We know you were the ones who killed our ancestors in coal mines and rolled that money forward into a big corporation, and now you're a software company now. We know who you are. We are watching you, and I'm not going to cheer for the people who murdered my ancestors anymore. Like, I may not like my neighbor, but damn it, he didn't screw my ancestors. He didn't murder my ancestors. He didn't screw my kids and I out of our family business. So that's what that was on my mind this morning. You know, if you want to actually talk across the aisles, you can't be on the aisle. Brother Tom just said, today's news is entertainment, and you only hear what the oligarchy wants you to know. Because why in the world would you let the slaves on your plantation actually know what's happening outside the plantation? Why would you let them know there are lands of milk and honey in the north? Why would you let them know that there's thousands of Southerners on the railroad that will help you and feed you and give you maps to help you to get the hell out of there? Why would they want you to know that? They don't. They want you to know how great the plantation is. They want to let you know that cotton picking is up. They want to let you know that Julian got promoted. You know, he's not in the deep field no more. They actually put a whip in his hand. That brother's moving up in the world. They want you to know the things that they want you to know. They want you to know that Russia is your enemy, not your best friend. They want you to know all the it's not just fake news, but there's brainwashing news. They want to walk you into this sense of belief in this false reality that anything will change if we stay on the left and we stay on the right. So I just want to take a look real quick just to see, Brother Tom, what are people on what are people talking about today? What's important? What's trending in the news today? What's the top stories? What's the most important? Sears cuts century-old ties to Whirlpool. Sounds important to me. Why? Because they're one of the big corporations that run our country, run our world. Oh, we got to make sure the plantation's doing okay. What's happening? Are they merging with somebody? They changing and not selling a product anymore by another plantation? Because corporations are masters. Talking about Stephen Hawkins, that's a great brother. Not gonna go through that. Tampa is number 3. Tampa, Florida. What happened in Tampa, Florida? Tampa neighborhood fears serial killer after 3 killings. Yep. You gotta fear him. You gotta fear him. Oh, get the fear. Take the guns. People, you can't trust people. We need more cops on the ground. We need more prisons. We gotta put people away. Get the fear going. Sell. Fear it's a phenomenal sales tactic. Turn on the TV sometime, have a little fun, and watch commercials, and you'll realize every single commercial uses fear to sell you something. Whether it's toothpaste, you're gonna get funky breath and bad teeth, won't have a girlfriend. Viagra, you won't be able to get it up. You won't somebody gonna cheat on your wife. You won't have no fun in life. A car, your neighbor gonna drive faster than you. They're always using fear to sell you everything. Everything from top to bottom is fear. The Capulates are getting kind of rowdy. Better watch out for those Montagues. We need more guns. We gotta rally together. We gotta fight them because they're coming for us. Fear is used to sell everything. And so, how do you fight that? Don't be scared. Don't be scared. I'm not worried about no damn Capulates. I'm not worried about Montagues neither. I'm not worried about the left and I'm not worried about the right. I have one sole purpose on this planet, and that is to make sure that the next generation does better than we do. Right? That's my only purpose as an adult and as a parent, is to make sure the next generation, and I don't mean just my kids, do better than what we did. That is our only, every species on the planet, that's their own purpose. And this might actually be the first generation of any species on this planet that is now prioritizing what it can get in its generation and doesn't give a damn about what the next generation has to deal with. You know? And I'm gonna say one more thing, and I'm gonna shut it down. I got into a little minor, little spit. I don't argue. I don't do Facebook arguing. I'm not. That's not me. I like to, if it's so important and passionate that we gotta yell and scream and use all caps. Let me come to your door. Give me your address. Let me come visit you. Can I come talk to you? Come talk to me. I'll give you my address. If it's that important, you should look somebody in the eyes when you say those type of things. I don't get into that. Somebody was attacking a friend of mine this morning. Started flailing, you're a bigot. I like to use these words. You're a bigot. It had to do with vaccines. I'll end on this. But, you're a bigot. And I looked at it and I stopped. And that first question that came to mind is, and I knew the person, not you're off in left field, but people like to use words because they're dismissive. They like to use dismissive words because if I can post that you're a left or you're a right, magically I got my army behind me. And everyone else who's with me is going to automatically start to side with me. If I call you a Nazi, if I call you a bigot, if I use one of those trigger words, I use the word Clinton or Trump or Obama, I can get my people behind me. So it's going to give me credibility because I'm such a small person and I don't have the ability to stand on my own too. And I looked at who the person was, and the person had all kind of PhDs behind their names, and I'm just like, what? So, but I won't go into details of that because you probably don't want me to say anything about it, so I won't. But always stand up for your family. Always stand up for your friends. Always stand up for your others. Because at the end of the day, if we don't, there's no way we're going to make any progress towards bringing people back together. And I'm seeing people coming together, y'all. I'm seeing a lot. I don't know what you guys see, but I'm seeing family coming in, and I know they come from the extreme left, and I know they come from the extreme right, and try to cultivate that wherever you go. Try to cultivate it. Say something that's out of the blue. When you know there's a bunch of lefts attacking a right, and you think you're a left still, I guess, jump on the right side. Say something different. Try to find common ground. If you really, really, really got to stick in your group, maybe don't be so ignorant about it, and people might start to listen to you a little bit. But if we don't find this common ground in mass, I see a lot of people changing, but we got to change a lot more. But everyone has to do their part. Everybody has to say something different, say something new. Doesn't matter what the question is, the answer is always love. If you actually want something better, if you actually mean well, and you whether you think your leadership means well or not, if you actually mean well, speak well. Speak well. If it's good, say it's good. If it's bad, say it's bad. If you see it going bad, call it bad. If you see that discussion going that direction, pull it back. Use your brain. You got a brain. I don't care if you got a PhD. Some of the most ignorant people I know have PhDs. Because you can read a book and write down some facts. It doesn't make you smart. It means you can read a book and recite facts. So, but anyway, guys, I'm going to let y'all go. I got to get back to this plantation here. I appreciate y'all sticking time with me. If you are still on the left or the right, I'm just going to try to encourage you to really consider what your team supports. Like, really look at the dirt. Really think about what they're doing. Really think about, is human life really worth these things that they're going to give me, this shiny stuff that they're promising me? You have a chance to actually make a difference, I think, in this nation, which really is going to be a difference in the world. Because if we can get back control of our government, and the government actually has any interest in citizens again and what we say, we can stop the wars. We can stop the murder. We can make sure everybody has what they need. But that's why America is an isolated, insane asylum, where they raise everybody to be crazy, and they make sure everybody has scarcity, and they don't give you a damn thing. They'll spend major money in wars overnight. As soon as Wall Street says we need to go murder somebody, but you ask for something, and they put that carrot out in front of your face, and they make you chase it for a good 15, 20 years. Then maybe they might let you have a little bite of it. Anyway, that's what I got for y'all. Certainly appreciate y'all sticking time with me and bringing an end to the Capulates and the Montagues and the Hatfields and the McCoys, and maybe we can learn a lesson from people who were a lot smarter than us, who came before us. Love y'all. Y'all have a good day.